So we did a great job of getting through what I wanted to this morning, except for one important thing. We did not talk at all about how to.
This must be nice.
Renee is an inspiration. Hi, Renee. Everyone wave.
Oh, that's sweatshirt.
All right, so we didn't talk about how to attach event listeners to multiple things. Here, we've got a beautiful event listener that will add tacos when we mouse over this button. It confuses me every time, but that's how this event listener works. If we wanted to attach event listeners to all of these LIs that would do something to them, for example, when we click them, they go away. That's a whole other ball of wax. And I want to show you first some ways that we can't do it. Way one. This is not going to work. Why not?
You're doing stuff on array.
Beautiful. Exactly. Query selector all will always return an array. It may be an empty array. It may be a 1,000-item long array. That array itself is not going to help us much. What we need to do, the only thing we can do, is add event listeners to individual bits of the DOM. This is a collection, a cluster, a list of bits of the DOM. Document.querySelectorAll returns many LIs, a node list, to be precise, of multiple LIs. And if I try and run this code, I will get a lovely error that will tell me exactly what is going wrong. Document.querySelectorAll.addEventListener is not a function. This is one of the better error messages that I've seen from JavaScript. The return value of document.querySelectorAll does not have a method addEventListener. Can't call that method on this thing. You cool with this? Questions about why this can't work? This is very similar to what I did yesterday when I tried to set the inner HTML of a bunch of stuff at the same time. Can't do it. Can't do it on the collection of things. Sort of like if I have a has-many association on a Rails model and I try and like do something I can do it to the first one if it's a method of one of those instances, but I can't do it to the whole list. Okay. What we got to do is iterate. If we need to attach an individual event listener to each one of these things, we have to get each one of them in turn. Has anyone iterated so far in the labs? Probably. Maybe. They've moved the labs around since I last checked. But how did you iterate when you did?
They had us doing it with the, oh goodness, for
That thing?
Yeah.
For loops are lovely and all that, but not today. We're going to do something else. The cool thing about query selector all that is not true about get elements by tag name, get elements by class name, is that it has a method called for each. And this works a little more like stuff we've been using in Ruby. It's a little more like the each method that Ruby arrays have. Except our each method in Ruby takes a block. And the for each method in JavaScript takes an argument that is not a block. You don't remember what it is, or know what it is, or have a guess what it is? It's a function. It's a function, it's a callback, and this one is going to also be an anonymous function. I'm going to pass it. This is a different use of callbacks from the one that we used here. This function is also an anonymous function. It's also a callback. And it's also like a function. But it's going to get called when we mouse over this taco button. The function that we pass to for each gets called 7 times. I'm going to split screen this just for convenience. Why do you suppose it gets called 7 times? Will it always get called 7 times? Do the creators of JavaScript just really want 7? Build it in that like for each just does.
Because, yeah, 7 LIs inside.
I like that theory. Yeah, there are 7 LIs inside of the UL. There are 7 LIs that were grabbed by query selector all. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. All right. This gets cool when I give my anonymous function a parameter. When I give it a slot to take in something that gets passed in by what? In this case. Yeah. Dev tools? Kind of, not quite. If we're passing this callback function off, and parameters get passed in when functions get called, who calls my callback? Say again? The tag ID. Not quite. Where am I passing it to? Yes.
Is it getting passed with for each?
Yes. For each does a wonderful thing. When you call it on an array, or an array-like thing, in this case a node list, it will loop through all of the items, call your callback once per item, and pass in the item. It works very similarly to a block, just with a different syntax. If I console log my 1 LI, I get each one of them in order. My callback gets called 7 times, once per item in the list. It does the same exact thing with each one of those LIs, which in this case is just console logging it. Each time it's a different member of that list. Carla.
Could you have called one LI anything?
Sure.
It doesn't seem to be one LI. Like, so like what is, that's confusing, right? It's not specific to anything.
Yeah. Same function for all the elements. So you want to name it something generic. If I named it poop, like that's going to be accurate for this iteration, but not for any of the rest of them. It's going to be each LI in turn. First time this function executes, it's the poop. Second time, it's the bomb. Then the knife, then the middle finger, then the toilet, then the broken heart, then the...
That's the same thing in Ruby when you do the thing between the pipes.
Yeah. In Ruby, this block, this pipe variable, whatever, starts out as foo, then as bar, then as baz. And we can upcase it every time, but it will be a different thing for every time the block executes.
So it's the singular version of the array.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if this is a variable called LIs, this is one single LI. We cool with this? Awesome. For each can also take a named callback if we want to. We just can't call it. If we call our callback, it's not a callback anymore.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about it.
Cool. In this case, I think it makes more sense to make this an anonymous function. So I'm going to do that instead. Slap that in there. Okay. And now, yeah.
So when do we know a function take in, or like a method take in a variable versus, or in this case, a function taking a variable versus a
Callback.
Callback, yeah.
How do you know whether a function needs to accept a callback or a different kind of variable? If it's a built-in function like for each, you got to look at the documentation, or you could probably ask one of us if we're around. That's one hard thing about JavaScript. There is no like calling it and then figuring out how many parameters it takes. You're gonna have to look at documentation. Or look at where the function's defined in your code to find out what it actually does with those parameters. As far as figuring out the data type, like it's good if you make your parameters named really descriptive things so that people, when they're reading your code, will understand, okay, this should be a DOM element. But JavaScript will just like do whatever to this, will let you do whatever to this particular argument. And if it's not a thing that an LI can do, it'll break then, which is a little annoying if you're coming from a statically typed language. In this case, what do I want to do to this LI? What was the point of doing all of this for each? What was I trying to accomplish? Yeah, you want to add an event listener to the LI. I know, is that what you're going to say?
Well, I was going to say we're going to iterate through each of the LIs to add an event listener.
Exactly right. For each is helping us iterate through those LIs. For each one of those LIs, I want to add an event listener to that one. This is what I'm talking about with the pyramid of death. We're now on step 3 of that pyramid. So I'm going to actually like pull this out and make it. No, I'm going to leave it for now. Change my mind. Okay. I'm not doing this add event listener right. I screwed something up. Does anyone see it? Yeah. Yes, I'm missing the type of event that I want to add the event listener for. I got to pass in first a string, then my callback. And in this case, I want to make it a click. When I click on this, I want to get back a, I don't know, piece of keyboard mash. Cool. We're in business here. Got my console log working on these elements. Now, if I want this click handler to make this LI go away, what method can I call on the LI to make it do that? .remove. Oh yeah. Actually legitimately forgot that. I don't know. It's weird. All gone. Not bad. Yeah? Anyone see any problems that could arise from the way that we are doing this? These are the hard questions, so take a while, guys, if you want. Yeah, Tony?
I'll change that in
So like some way to bring them back, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no way to bring them back currently, so that could cause a problem if we like crap, wait, the dolphin, I wanted that one. Tess, what were you gonna say?
We did query selector all.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some LIs that we would delete, but we don't actually want to.
True. Yeah, we are doing this query selector just based on like all the LIs in the document. If there was like another list of maybe like links to other parts of this shitty website, those would also disappear if you click them. I agree with that, and I think I'm actually going to fix it. Let's say only the blobs LIs should get deleted. Still works, but if we add more LIs to the page, now we're not totally host. Sure. I'm going to show you a problem with this, if you're ready. So, we built this beautiful thing that like adds tacos when you, I'm going to change it. I hate it that it's mouse over. Hold on. There we go. Now it's click. And these go away. If I click on one of the new tacos, what is going to happen? Think about this for yourself for like 20 seconds. Do not blur out. And then we'll take a vote and see what we think is going to happen. I think there are are two likely possibilities here. One is that the taco will go away. The other is the taco will not go away. If you have other possibilities, I'm willing to hear them. Is this a different possibility?
All of us.
Maybe just all the tacos go away. All right, great. So let's take a vote. Who thinks one taco will go away? 0 tacos will go away. All of the tacos go away. Drum roll, please. So I know that seemed like kind of half and half, but this is just CSS. It doesn't go away. Why not? Why could it be that this taco will not go away, but the bomb will, and the knife will, and the heart will, and the dolphin will? It's just not any of these tacos. Tacos won't delete themselves. They are LIs. They are inside of the blobs list. ¿Qué pasó? So what you're telling me is that even though now there are tons of LIs in the blobs list, at the time that we looped through these LIs, there were only 7. So when we did our for each, it ran only 7 times. Those specific LIs got the click handler added to them that will remove them. But the new ones that were added later didn't get this? Yes. That's exactly what went wrong. And this is one of the biggest pains in the ass about JavaScript. It does exactly what you tell it to, and nothing more. Rails is sort of like, oh, okay, I think I sort of know what you want here. No, JavaScript makes you do all of the things. Cross the I's, dot the T's yourself. If we actually want this to happen, we gotta attach it to the LIs when we create them as well. And by it, I mean this event listener. And by the LIs when I create them, I mean this thing right here. Yeah? Yeah.
What if we just change query select all to select get element tag for the class?
Yeah, let's do get elements by tag name. And we'll just do all the LIs on the page. Uh-oh, our footer's gonna be in trouble, but like, let's give it a whirl. What happened? Yeah, we got a little uncaught type error there. LIs dot for each is not a function. Yes, not an array. JavaScript strikes again. When you do get elements by tag name, it doesn't have a for each method. You can't for each. So what we could do is do a for loop and go through them by index. I'm not gonna do it because if we do that, the same thing is gonna happen. You are right that get elements by tag name is live, but if we loop through and add event listeners, that part isn't. Avi. Good thought. I'm going to go back to query selector all, save, escape, taco, taco, taco. Doesn't go away. Nope. The order sort of matters, but this code still runs long before the tacos actually get created. This function right here, when it runs, the whole document's been done. So the order of it is sort of like, yeah, up here, do the for each, not this function, the rest of this, not this, on down. Then, when you click the thing, this part runs. And when you click the taco, this part runs. This is what the folks were talking about yesterday as far as the code not running from top to bottom. When you deal with callbacks, your code becomes asynchronous. It doesn't all run at the same time. This callback, this piece of code, only runs when the button is clicked. This piece of code only runs when the blob is clicked. Josh.
I mean, just kind of going off what you said, would it make any difference if you made it a function declaration instead of assigning it to a variable?
No. Whether that function has a name or not, it's not actually going to help us. I'm going to show you what that would look like just because I think that'll actually help us in the next step. But blob clicked is what I'm going to call this function. Not going to call it. But I'm going to move it out here. I'm also going to have a problem here, though. Uncaught reference error li is not defined. I have a feeling that someone knows why this is going to happen. Go ahead.
Because li is a constant within, outside that function, so it's not usable.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were down here, oh, this is weird. Yeah, no, it's fine. When we were down here in this function, li was a parameter to this for each, so we had access to it even though we were down the scope. Now that we're over here, li is not a thing. Li is trapped between these two curly braces, so we don't have access to li anymore. This has to do with scope, which we have not talked about a whole lot before. So if that's a little bit confusing or not intuitive, I feel you. Tony.
Can we create a function and add all the stuff into it?
Create a function and add all this stuff to it. How do you mean?
Like create a function that says, I don't know, call like button actions or something like that, and then have the call the toggle button and the other thing.
So like have both of these respond to the same event listener?
No, like create it. It's kind of like that. The project that the lab that we talked about earlier, where there's like an array of functions, so like functions can call other functions and possibly create a function that will have the event listener is like to run.
So we'd have like an array of variables that we might need to access later, or something like that, or maybe. Yeah, could do a global variable. I don't love global variables. I think they're dangerous. Setting up traps for us later. I want to show you actually a way to do this, unless Tess, you've got one. All right. Chloe.
You said you can convert HTML collection into array using a method.
Yes. If you've got an HTML collection, you can do an array.from. Pretend that variable actually exists and that it's an HTML collection, and it'll transform into an array. Problem is, when you do that, you lose the fact that it's live. So you'll for each it and get the same exact thing. We could bang our heads against this for a while, but I don't want to. I got good stuff to show you. JavaScript is not all frustration, I promise. Promise. I will. All right, so when I hit this, I've added a parameter to this function for the event to come in from. The event, again, is, oh, wait, what is the event? Someone remind me? Tom. Kind of. It has information about the user input. That's information about the event that just happened. The sort of like coordinates of it and the element that it happened to and the timestamp and the type of event that it was. Specifically, it's got a reference back to the thing that just got clicked on. So if I click on the poop and then I go to the toilet after that, that was badly phrased. The next time, it'll be that toilet I went to. This is pretty great, I think. And this is exactly how we can make this one function the callback for all of the LIs. Anyone want to help me use event.target? Chloe.
Event.target.
.remove? Cool, let's do it. Boom. Can nuke all the things.
Tacos.
Make tacos?
Click them.
No, sorry.
Oh no!
That's not the solution. It's part of the solution, but it's not all of it. Yeah, you
have to add it into the iteration.
add it into the iteration. Which one? This one?
The
Yeah, I did that. So the thing that isn't getting deleted is this taco stuff. These are all the ones that are already there when the page loads. Line 31, right when the page loads. So let me actually show you this. And let's do 55. Yeah? 143 maybe? Crap, I'm screwing this up, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. How screwed up is it? 47, 26, 28 is now 30. 36. It tells you the line number too. Yeah, I am 55 is now 56. Okay, no more. I want everyone to think about which order and which ones of these will run when I refresh the page. Think about it, don't blur it, please. Your friends are thinking. And when you're ready and you have an idea of what order it's going to be, raise your hand. Give you a minute. See, some stressed out faces, which is okay. Asynchrony is the other hard part of JavaScript. Debugging, third, synchrony, asynchronous second, callbacks first. We're dealing with two of the hardest parts of JavaScript. So don't worry about having them all figured out yet. I don't expect that in the slightest. Take a guess. It might not be right. We'll all survive. I could wrong for today. Raise your hand if you think you have a guess, an idea, a thought. Yeah, talk to me.
So we have 126.
Yeah, okay, so 26 first. Why that one first?
That is the top of the line. That one first.
That'll one first. Then what?
Do you have 130?
Oh, then from line 30?
We have one of that.
Uh-huh.
Then we have 736.
Uh-huh. Wait, this will
Seven
be,
of those.
oh, 7 times.
Yeah.
It'll be this 1/3. And then
You have 143.
1 time 43. Fourth. Uh-huh.
You don't have 47.
What?
You don't have it.
It's not gonna run.
Yeah, that line.
Uh-huh.
Then you have 136.
1 times 56 then. Cool. Everyone agree? No. Alicia, what do you think?
I think it's gonna be 26 first,
26,
then 36,
then 36,
then 43,
then 43,
then 56.
then 56.
And I think 30 and 47 are dependent on whether we click on it.
Got it. So you're saying that because this one is inside of blob clicked, and blob clicked doesn't get reference except for right here, and it won't actually get run until it's clicked because it's a callback, and that's not going to even go.
Yeah.
Do you agree with Pam that this will go 7 times?
I didn't think about it, but I think that makes sense. I would agree with him. I like it.
Run with it? Yeah. And I think like this function makes sense that this might not run because it's also a callback. Yeah.
I thought it was 26. And then the rest will run it because conflict, or if it's really
So just 26, just 56, none of the rest of them unless we hit the taco button. I sneaked this one in between functions. Sorry. Let's find out. Ready? Drum roll. Awesome. I don't want you to focus too much on like who got the right answer, because the why of this is why I want you to engage with it and why I asked you to make a prediction. Making predictions, seeing the results, and figuring out from those results how it did the thing, that's debugging. And that's the third hard thing about JavaScript. So I want you to get practice with that as you go, especially when you see error messages. Okay, first thing that happened. Hello from line 26. First thing in the file, not in a callback function, it's gonna run. Hello from line 36 7 times is in a callback function, but it's in a for each callback function. So it is gonna get called 7 times. And it's gonna be immediately when for each runs, because for each doesn't hold on to that callback, it just calls it 7 times. Then, 43, just in the middle of functions. Fine, nothing that to say. Then, hello from line 56. This attaches an event listener, but none of the code in it runs until that click. None of the code in blob click runs until blob click gets called. It's not called here, it's referenced. And it will get called when you click on an LI. And the other one will get called if you click on the taco, 47.
Is that kind of standard, like functions don't exist unless you call on them?
They
Or don't
exist,
have
but they don't happen. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like a whole ton of functions.
Sure.
Unless you call them.
Yep.
They're not.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you don't run the code, it doesn't run. Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite kind of debugging error is like, I have this beautiful function that should work perfectly, didn't call it anywhere. Love that, happens to me. Questions about this? Yeah.
you run it at code because of people are like that. Do you have any recommendation or advice how or like when we write certain code? So like on line 30, do we write it before line 36 or like that or after that, or just still whatever you feel like it?
Do what makes sense to you for now. This is going to require a lot of context switching and a lot of like figuring out where a function gets called. That's the skill in JavaScript. Get good at it. It takes practice. Go slow. Be kind to yourself. Go easy on yourself if it's not immediately easy.
Would you recommend like, or just for practice at least, maybe like a comment on top of each other, like, oh, this one we rely on that one?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of comments because they rapidly become inaccurate sometimes. If you change your code, the comment may not be true anymore. But I think one really helpful thing is if I want to find out when this function gets called, double click on the name, it'll highlight where it's used. That's what controls when it gets called. If it's a click handler, not going to get called when the item is clicked. If it's in a for each, it's going to get called a bunch of times, but right away. Figuring out where the function's called, that's probably your best ticket to success here. Yeah.
So except the two functions that do not appear because we have to do some action to create them, everything else was synchronous.
Yes, everything goes top to bottom, except for things that are in functions that haven't been called.
So the moment effort becomes asynchronous is when you add basically this additive listener, when you have to do some action. Is there other ways that it can be asynchronous without like any event action?
Yes, event listeners make things asynchronous. More broadly, callbacks tend to make things asynchronous. So because this is a callback, it waits to run until it's ready. Because this is a callback, it waits. This is a callback that doesn't wait, which is kind of the exception, not the rule. But set timeout. If I put anything in a function that I pass to that, pass in 1,000 milliseconds, it'll wait. All the rest of the code will run. 56 will run before the other piece because it's in a callback. Does that answer your question? Sweet. Okay, let's fix this code and delete some tacos. If we're going to attach an event listener to these tacos, what do we need? How do we do that, generally speaking? Danielle.
Well, you would start where the tacos are created. So
Mm.
well, my thought process is you have a method
Mhm.
that where you can remove the targeted,
Yeah.
Targeted
This
thing.
blob clicked
Or,
function.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So my thought process is to do something like line 37, so like
Mhm.
click,
Mhm.
and then pass it that sort of same method into there.
Mhm.
But my other question is like, can you add two of the same types of events to the
Mhm.
same thing?
Yes, but more to what I think you're trying to do, you can add the same function as a callback to two different variable DOM nodes. The direction I heard you going with this was like, do this line 37 thing, this attachment of an event listener to this LI, on a click, run this blob click thing, but for tacos.
Yeah.
And to go to the origin of the tacos, which is down here in this callback. So we could even like copy and paste this and say taco.addEventListener click, reference same function.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't hear you.
That makes sense. You can't use them.
You can or can't?
You can.
Can. I think so. I hope so. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. All right. Get rid of all the bad things. Yep.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why is it 168?
Oh, that's from line 48. This click.
Oh. Not the tacos.
And we made them go away. So this isn't super dry. There is a more dry way of doing this. We have pretty much the exact same code on line 52 and 37. It might be nice to make a function that just like takes in a DOM node, attaches the event listener, but no, not now. The big takeaway that I want you to see here. Attaching event listeners to things that are not on the DOM when the DOM loads the first time is hard, but not impossible. You have to do it for the stuff that's already on the DOM and the stuff that gets added to the DOM when it gets added to the DOM. JavaScript does not do you any favors in this process, but you can do it.
I'm gonna do stuff for a second.
So I added this whole line 52. It's the same as line 37. We're just taking this taco object, this newly created LI that hasn't even been like added to the list yet, and we're attaching an event listener to it saying, when you're clicked, do the blob clicked. Just the same as these LIs that were already there. We have to do those separately for now. Rachel.
Can I ask a scope question that
Yes.
table for later?
Sure.
When we're referencing blob clicked, does that give access to the function blob clicked, its scope every time we call it?
So blob clicked is in a global scope.
I guess I mean more like anything that would be defined within blob clicked. If we don't have anything right now, like
Correct.
define a variable within it, does that give us access to that variable when it's referenced somewhere else?
So this variable is only available within blob clicked.
Right.
Referencing it here doesn't give us any special powers.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, go.
What is in what is event? Where do we find target that removes?
Event is the object that the browser passes in to all event listener callbacks.
Okay.
Anytime we pass a function as a callback to add event listener, we can expect that when that callback is called, it will get an event object. That event object will always have a target on it, as well as like a page X, a page Y. This is just like the API of the browser talking. We get that object back so that we can do stuff with it, like find out what got clicked. This same event listener is in like 7, 8 different places, lots of places. That event.target will be different depending on what you click on. And that's a beautiful thing, actually. It's a very useful thing for us in wanting to remove this taco, not the poop. Well, not the poop. Does that answer your question?
It does, but now I'm curious, what is target?
Target is always the thing you clicked on. So
Okay.
if we were to do something like document.add event list, document.get query selector all. Star is literally every item on the page, so add event listener, click, blob clicked. Now, oh, come on. Oh. All right. Just violated my own rule. So careful to like explain that no, you can't do that, and now I sincerely thought you could do that. I'm just gonna use a nice little arrow function, which you can. Now I can remove literally anything on the page just by clicking it, including like the whole list. It doesn't matter what you click, it'll all work. Nothing, just less typing. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah.
I know you got it to work, but it violates the separation of concerns.
I know.
Section. You just try to add a button and you put in deletion of this button that hardly puts into the list in the middle of the function that you can state.
I know.
I mean, that's the way you have to do it. That's you do it, but are there other ways?
Yes. I know it kind of stinks. I agree. Yeah, this function doesn't have a single purpose. It like creates an LI, but also like sets the inner text and also adds an event listener to it and also recaps it. It's kind of garbage. I agree. You can break this up into smaller functions. I think that's better for separation of concerns.
But the principle of it, you can't separate it. You have to add it and delete it while you are still adding it.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to think ahead to like, what am I going to want to delete this ever? I agree. Yeah. Eventually, what's coming is React, which has much better separation of concerns. What's eventually coming is object orientation in JavaScript, which helps you separate concerns a little bit more. What I have to do now is maybe break it up into separate functions, but also don't worry about it. And notice the pain that this causes. Notice the pain points here and sort of like having this jumble of stuff that you have to do. It's kind of a pain to have to like imperatively tell the document, create an LI, okay, now set the inner text to this, okay, now like understanding what this code does takes a minute. You have to like track the variables, remember return values, know what inner text does, think about your event listener, go up to the blob click, see what that does, then come down and see what eventually happens. A lot of brain stuff. There are better ways. For now, this is our way. I'm sorry. We'll get there, I promise. Okay, what time is it? Ooh. Okay. We don't have as much time as I thought. I did. I want to do an exercise for the rest of our time. And that exercise is going to be to do some deliverables. In the bottom of my README, I've created some silly deliverables and some actual deliverables. We've checked off this deliverable and sort of partly this deliverable. We can click the button and add a new taco emoji to the list. We can't click an emoji and change it to a coconut. We aren't right-clicking an emoji and deleting it. We are left-clicking an emoji and deleting it. I think it's actually probably a good idea to do the silly deliverables first. If you want to hear a sound, this audio.js file has a couple of functions in it. Make sound is the one that I think you should use. Yeah. And as far as cycling through emojis, what I'm thinking of here is like you click this, it becomes a donut. Then you click it again, and it's a taco. Then you click it again, and it's a coconut. Then it's sushi. But if you have a different idea of how to fulfill this deliverable, go for it. This is like a stretch one. Start here, work your way through. Let me know if you have questions. And if you can, pair up. Work together with someone. It'll help. Are those instructions clear? This is your moment. Yeah.
This is my first time.
Oh, also, I'm gonna push this code up to the class repo. You can start with it, you can mess with it.
I don't know.
So it's gonna be the
dumbo-web-0513, yeah.
It should actually, no. If you go to Learn Code, there should be a link to it. Oh, you got it, yeah.
So it should be on Learn Code?
I got the entire thing. So you try these out the entire thing.
Yeah, then you have to
We're not
I try to hold it, stand it up.
We could, but I want to. It's want to open another window. I don't want that. Just do. There, happy now? OpenJS file. OpenJS file. OpenJS file. Delete all the comments. Take it away. HTML.
It's right here.
Split it. Alright, now multi-panel.
They're limited out.
Alright, so
Oh, we're not anything like
Did you say hello? Check this thing is there. You're missing one.
Yeah, I recommend everyone comment on the one that deletes everything.
Sorry.
That one's still there? Oh,
yeah.
I was like, what's the matter?
Not really matters.
Also added line 52.
Yep, 56 on mine.
56.
It's straight up like, so I was like, oh, yeah. It's
Because it's not.
Well, there's two. So, you have like, we're already,
No, this is for, this is for the tackle, so like you click on the tackle. This is for the tackle button.
Yeah, I already know that. Yeah. But I'm saying on this top button, I'm still. So now, when you click tackle, you say you're clicking tackle, it's supposed to do one, right? So what you're trying to say is, hey, I want to do another.
You can't tap to a listener.
You can, actually. But what I might do is just get rid of my code for now and make it do your thing. I'm not that worried about like it doing both at the same time, particularly. Just get some practice.
Yeah.
That's why I was,
So for now, let's just put the buttons high instead of three.
yeah, figure out.
So let's leave the logo now. Oh, yes, an audio. We don't use an audio. No, like in general. If you add this number to what line is it? 61. And it's made so this thing
Oh, it's right there.
This is the whole line.
So if you go
I'll put it outside.
try to work it.
Oh, I think there's
Talking to my hash. What is it? What's it called?
Media learning.
Here is some.
Oh.
Presence actually seems to break everything. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Let's make a.
oh, yeah.
Feel like so are they getting job?
Okay, so it's not called a
So we did alert to.
Okay, and you expect it to be better?
Just literally just add.
So,
Because we have the same day alert as well. Energy changes, energy changes.
all right.
Yeah.
So.
We'll get to those.
The document is getting
Yes, right.
There you are.
But anywhere else on the page.
So you don't have to.
That's what they said.
There's sound when you scroll.
Right.
So you want to add, so is it, so it comes like these guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's like.
You're adding, it's smaller clip on right shot.
You're actually. You know, as you're. Why?
I mean, yeah.
You just say that, okay.
You want to touch the sound.
Yes. Yeah. That's not true. The fact that goes off the line,
That's good. You were like,
We could put there.
This is another function. I understand what you're calling, but that's not this is all here, not just say, let's make stuff. Wait, I thought you were. Well, probably either. I think
Probably only connected to the next section now. Script you're using, but I don't know how audio offers indexing. So index should in check. So whatever function you call in here is already in there. Check. You call there's an audio sound. There's an audio.js. Yeah. Oh, you're in. Good. Okay. I would just call one of the functions at the bottom. Underneath the script. At the moment that you want to make the sound. Oh, so just try to put it. So just put the So now body.
You have to do that here.
hierarchies.
Oh, I just think it's select everything, right?
I think they're really like so in the query, everything. I love this.
We don't so if you were to do this,
I'm sorry.
Now we want to store each that.
Oh, you turn the entire thing into a tab. But this is
well, we need to add a
tab
tab
10.
function here. So,
You don't get it.
we gotta,
Yeah.
so we gotta create.
Reset.
Instead of